Okay, welcome everyone. It's nice having so many people here. I wanted to give you a small presentation about video game music. It's just gonna be some theoretical overview, nothing too deep yet. If you want, we're actually planning on doing something more interactive next semester. But this is just covering the basics. It's fine. So, you probably have heard a lot of different ways of talking about video game music. Probably all these words we have here. And it's important to know that they are all something totally different. So the broadest category is the first one, incidental music. That's just music that is created for other media. It can be music for film, for television, for games, for theater, for whatever you want. If it's created with something else in mind, it's called incidental music. So that's a huge category. Inside that category, we have dynamic music, which is more the one you will find in video games, which just refers to music that changes in an unexpected way. Yeah, every music changes. Every song has changes in the music, but that's something that the composer actually plans and the performers know when it's happening. But in video games, it works a little bit different. And then we can divide that into two categories, interactive music and adaptive music. They are not the same. Interactive music is when the music is part of your gameplay, when you actually interact with the music itself. The best example of this is Guitar Hero. If you screw up, the music stops sounding or sounds bad. If you play well, the music sounds well. So that's the most basic example of interactive music. You can have, there's a Mario game that creates music. I don't remember which one. A really old one, probably. Yeah, a really old one. And there are a few other examples. There's a game called Wonder Song, in which you actually have to match some sounds of the background to attack the monsters. But besides that, interactive music is actually not very common in video games. You will find more adaptive music, and that's the one we're going to focus on. So adaptive music is just music that changes according to what happens in the game. Yeah. So the actions of the player, and not only of the player, it can also be some random stuff programmed in the background, in the environment, the actions of the AI players or whatever change how the music works. That is adaptive music. It adapts to whatever is going on in the game, and it changes according to whatever changes in the game. So whenever you are doing the music for a video game, you have to follow all these 4 steps: design, creation, defining rules, and implementation. Now, the design is something you do without music. It's just like the idea of how the music is going to work. Creation is actually, well, writing the music. The rules for adaptation is you usually get the music in a special software where you define all the variables that you are going to have in the game that affect the music. And then you just call those variables or change those variables from your C# code in Unity or whatever engine you're using. And implementing is actually the process of taking that software, the files that that software gives you, joining them into the game, and actually having everything in the files of the game without the third-party software. So I'm just gonna explain a little bit about the rules of adaptation and how it can be done. I'm gonna show it with some examples because the rules of adaptation are gonna be totally different for every game. It really depends on what you are doing in the game, what you want the music to do. So it's basically something you have to define like on a case-to-case basis. And there's a couple of softwares that you can use. Both of them are free. Fmod is very easy to use, but it doesn't get the best result. You can just do some very basic stuff with it. Wise, which is the one I'm using, is the one that actually big companies use sometimes. It's the best outcome, the most professional video game sound you will ever get, but it's goddamn difficult to use. Like I still need a tutorial to create a new folder. It's awful. But that's the one I'm gonna use as an example. So when you are developing a game, a good question is, where should the music be playing? And this is yet another differentiation that you can also find in music for film and TV and television, which is diegetic music and non-diegetic music. Or an easy way to phrase it is, is your character able to hear the music or just you as a player? Yeah. So if, for example, most of the time the environment music and the battle music of a game are non-diegetic music because only the player can hear it, you as a player. But if your character enters a tavern and there's someone singing, that is diegetic music because your character in the game can hear that music. So if you're working with diegetic music, the object that produces the music is the one that should play it in your engine. If you are playing music from a radio, the radio should be the one playing the audio files. And actually the engine, Unity or whatever, will make sure that if you get away from the object, you hear the music softer. If you get it closer, you hear it louder. And that's just done by actually getting the music to the right object. But most of the music in video games is non-diegetic, meaning that only you as a player can hear it, but not the characters. In that case, it usually plays from the game camera object. So that's just a little detail in programming. Now, how is music in video games different to music from film, television, theater, and other things? So the first one is the length. When you're scoring a film, they usually divide the film into scenes and they tell you as a composer, okay, we have a fighting scene, we need fighting music. This scene lasts 2 minutes, 33 seconds, and 14 frames. So you know exactly how much music you need to write. There is no way of doing more or doing less. You know exactly what you need. In the case of video games, that only happens with cutscenes. Cutscenes are basically like videos. So if you're going to score a cutscene, you know exactly how much music you need, and you can write or find the exact amount of music that you need. But the problem is, level 1, we are exploring. We're exploring in a field. And let's say I'm in a field, I have to explore and I have to get to that corner. We can have a speedrunner that gets there in 2 seconds, or we can have someone like me who needs to check every single corner of the cave for items and won't get to the end after checking absolutely everywhere. So the player can take 10 seconds or they can take 10 minutes to reach the exact point. So there's no way for you to know beforehand how much music you actually need. And that's why we need 2 important things that differentiate video game music from other kind of music. And it's the ability to be looped. Yes, you can have only 10 seconds of music, but if you repeat it 6 times, you already have 1 minute. And the second one is randomization. If you just play the same thing over and over again, it's going to be really boring for the player. Probably even annoying. But if you change very small things, you can actually have a lot more music from a very small amount. I will show you that with examples and whys. And the other difference is that the music needs to change according to what happens in the game. It usually happens with variables, and usually on the update function of the code, you will update those variables to Wise or to whatever software you're using. And the changes that those variables create are actually already programmed by you in the files. So there's many different ways to do this. Probably every single game has some unique ways of doing this, but there's still 2 main techniques that everybody knows in this world of video game music, which are vertical reorchestration and horizontal resequencing. Don't worry about the names, I will explain them in a while, and I will actually show you an example of each of them. So vertical reorchestration is you have all the music playing at the same time. There can be a lot of different instruments, a lot of different melodies or different things playing exactly at the same time. And what you do is increasing or lowering the volume of them just to make the music change a little bit. Yep. And the example for that is Karma Chameleon. So while I'll open this, can you give us a brief explanation of the theme of Karma Chameleon, please?
In Karma Chameleon, everyone it's the year of the dragon, and then you start destroying all the monkeys in Jiangsu province. And then once you do that, then the monkeys become angry. Then when it becomes the year of the monkey, the Buddha invokes like a karmic spell and invokes karma upon like China. So all the dragons become chameleons, and then the monkeys become like gods and start like killing all the chameleons. And then you and the ancient Chinese dragon Zadias the Redeemer must redeem the karma for all the fallen dragons, and like so that's the goal of the game. Yeah.
Yeah, so in the gameplay, the chameleon is basically flying around, going up and down like a kind of flappy bird, and the monkey is chasing him, and it gradually gets closer. You are always getting closer to the monkey. Now there are some flying blocks that you have to hit, and they come into colors, and you have a key to change the color of the chameleon. If you match the color, you go faster, so you get away from the monkey. If you don't match the color, you slow down, so you get closer to the monkey. If the monkey touches you, game over. It's an arcade type of game, so there's like no way of doing it, no way of winning. It's just keep going until you die. But that is the way in which it works. So what I did for this one with the music was this. Let me get all this thing working. So I'm gonna show you how everything here works. First, we need music for the chameleon. So I had this. And that's it. It just loops over and over again until you tell it to stop. And of course, we need something for the monster. I think it might not play right now. Yeah, I need to change something. One moment. I need to change this thing. Okay. So this is the music of the monster. Same as the one of the chameleon, it just loops over and over. Now, let's make more interesting the one of the bass, the basic music of the chameleon. So if you just hear the same thing over and over again, it can be boring. So I just wrote 3 different solos that can be randomly played on top of it. So if you see here, we have 3 different tracks in one single big track. So what the software is doing is saying, okay, I have to choose a solo. This one. It will do it totally at random. So if I play the first time, let's see what happens. Okay, it's not playing the third one. Let's see if it plays the second one when it gets here. No, third. Oh wait, I screwed up something. Hey, why are you not playing? I got it. Wait a second. I know why. I need to change this back. Okay, now it should play. So it's not playing the first one. Let's see if it gets to the second or to the third solo. Second one. If I play it again, let's see what happens. It's playing the first one. And let's see if it plays the third one this time. No, first one again. Okay, not the first. Please get to the first. Get to the top one. Yeah. So every time the music plays, every time it loops, it will play the bass plus one of the solos chosen at random. you can actually give like more importance to one of the solos. You can tell the software like, hey, I want 60% of chance for this one and just 20 and 20 for this two, or something like that. That's up to you. I just gave it the exact same weight. So let's see what happens if we do like the in-game demonstration. So in the code, you just have a function that says like wise post event begin music, and this happens. Oh, wait. So that's the music for Karma Chameleon, and that's how it works. Now, what happens with the right block and the wrong block? This sounds whenever you hit the block of the right color. And when you hit the wrong one, these are called stingers. And what is the difference between a stinger and a sound effect? And a stinger is something musical. It's something you can write on a music sheet. For example, the sound of the Super Mario cone, ta-ding. That's a stinger. You can actually play that on a piano. Yeah. But a shotgun blast, it's a sound effect. You cannot write that in a music sheet. Yep. That's the difference. So stingers are actually, you have to make them in a way that they actually match the music that's playing below. Otherwise, it will sound a little bit too weird. So if we start the music again. The clicks I'm doing here, play, stop, changing the distance of the monkey and all that, will be done by just a single line of code in the update function. That's how it works, unless you want to do something earlier or something. So that is Karma Chameleon. That's how it works. Now, if we go to the next one, horizontal resequencing. So horizontal resequencing is you have many different tracks that can loop over and over again, and you just shift between them. Yeah, you literally shift to a totally different track. So it's a little bit more difficult to connect them smoothly. So sometimes you need to do a transition. Okay. An example of this is the Lyre of Levant. So while I'm writing something here, can you please explain the theme of the Lyre of Levant?
Yes, so basically you're an unfit kid called Honey, and like you're set in Levant, which is where Damascus is in modern day Syria, and you're in a boot camp, and then the trainer like slaps you and says you need to be better, stop eating so many kebabs, and then and then you cry, and then you run away to the your mentor's like classroom, and then and then suddenly like a wizard comes and starts attacking and like making everyone old, and like the aim of the game is to beat it without having any masculine skills, and like the only skill that Hani has is like using a lyre and shooting like different things out of his like lyre at the other people. Yeah.
And that's it. So for the gameplay, we decided that we would have 3 different levels that represent 3 different levels of rottenness. Yeah, like where the wizard is the most powerful, when the evil wizard is a little bit weak, and when he's at his weakest and you kill him. Yeah, so we have 3 different levels of rottenness. Let's put like R, 1, 2, and 3. And each level of rottenness actually has its own music. So let me just close this one. I don't want to save anything. Hey, where's... So this is the one for the Light of Levant. For example, in level 1, you can see that we have like 4 files here. Each of them is a different version of the theme. So the music that will sound in level 1 is this one. Then level 2 should be something slightly less rotten. What's the playlist? Oh. So we play level 2. And then we have level 3, again, only 3. So that's what happens with those 3 levels. Each of them has its own playlist, and the playlist will just loop randomly over and over again until you tell the software to do something. The randomization here is just the order in which you play each of the parts, and that's it. But it's random enough for what the game actually needs. But the problem is, it feels a bit weird if we do something like this. Wait. What happens if the music changes like that in the game? You would be like, why the silence? Especially if you're listening to music all the time, that silence would be really weird. So what happens here is we have a transition segment, and this usually happens with this technique. Transition. Just gonna shape. So what happens here is from the music of the level 1, you go to the transition, then to level 2. From here, you go to the transition, then to level 3. That's how it works. Now, of course, there's 2 more musical themes that this game has. One is you die. So game over is just another music. And where can you go from to game over? From anywhere. From anywhere you can go to game over. So that theme should be able to play after the music of any of these 3. And we have one last one, which is winning. To win, you actually can go only from the last stage. You cannot leap from the other ones. And what winning and game over do is just cut off all the music that is currently playing and play their own music. And that's it. They just play it and it stops. So let's see how this actually works. So begin level 1. Again, this begin level 1 is like the event you would post from your C# code, and that's it. This would happen. And that's it. And it finishes because you won. Let's say we're on level 2. You're dead. That's it. So that's how the music in the Lyre of Levant works. It's basically this diagram, what you just heard. Now, something important. Transitions are short, and they usually start with a loud noise. So if you check this one again, okay, we're on level 1. The first thing that happened here is that loud. That's actually really common to do because sometimes when you just cut the audio, you might have some kind of echo. It's actually very common. So transitions usually start like that. And I would have to like easy to pick up this you can actually configure this to change at a specific point in the music, but if you do that, you actually risk that it doesn't sync the game event. So you have to balance both things, like which one is more important in your game, that the transition happens at the exact moment that the event happens, or that the transition connects the music more smoothly. It really depends on the game that you're working. That's something else about the transitions. Besides that, I think that's it for the relevant. So some important things like about the audios that you have to use is if we check one of the audios, you will see that the audio file goes all the way to the end, but we have a red flag before. And this audio you actually have after the red flag is still played. But when you exit this one to the next one in the loop, the next one in the loop starts playing when we get to the red flag. But the remain of this one is still playing. Because if you just cut it off, it really sounds weird. You will notice the difference. Okay, so we had an important question here, which is about the music of Karma Chameleon. And I'm going to show something here. What we actually did in Karma Chameleon was both tracks were playing at the same time. And on the object function, we did volume of the chameleon theme equals distance to the monkey. Volume of the music of the monkey, 100 minus distance to the monkey. Yep. So in that way, you actually get a linear function. Yeah, if you think about it, the music actually goes in a straight line, up and down. So you can actually do that in Unity and it works. But the good thing about this is that you have something like this. If I go to the background music and I select contents here on the base, RTPC means real-time parameter controls. It's basically where you set up how the variables are going to affect the music. We don't have a linear function. Yeah, so let's do this. Look how the music works. I'm just gonna play the bass. So I'm just gonna play the bass. Let's play it as solo. Actually, we have the time, so let's do it well. So what we had on the original game is this, a linear function. Let me just do it also with the monster theme, linear function, and linear function for the solos. It's basically that. So if you use this will happen. It gets lost in at one point, right? But if you're in the middle, it gets lost because it's a linear function and both tracks are playing too low there. So what I actually did, what I did to solve that is just play. This is the solos. So just play louder for a longer time, so it doesn't go down so soon, and the monster theme can actually start going louder a little bit sooner. So now it sounds like this. It's still soft, but we cannot do it here. So that's something you can actually just do in this kind of software. If you are going to program this in Unity, I mean, you could, but it will take you some time, or at least it would take you time to actually define the mathematical function you're gonna use to do this. So that's the cool thing. You can actually make it non-linear, and you could add just yet another axis and change the shape of the function however it fits your game. Yeah. Actually, using this, you could have like a flat section in the middle, and you could add a third segment of music on top. So it's up to you, but yeah, that's how we did Karma Chameleon. Any other question?
I'm guessing more complex games probably have more real-time.
Yeah, a lot of them. Like every single variable in the game is something. They also have a lot more events, because events here I have begin the music, game over, hit the right block, hit the wrong block. That's it. If you are gonna add, for example, footsteps, those are an event. Those are added as an event as a sound effect. So what you need to do is, as long as you're walking, call the event footsteps, and this software just plays that audio over and over again.
I'd imagine some games are even smart enough to like sort of synchronize the footsteps or whatever.
If you need,
like beat of the game, so that
I mean, if they need to do it, they can do it, yeah. But that's more about working with the audio correctly than with the software. Yeah, as long as like you have an audio of 2 footsteps with the correct distance between them, you just have to loop it over and over again and it works. But yeah, of course you can do that. It's just probably not necessary. So yeah, this is really complicated. I spent quite a bit of time on this. I think it took me more time to get the music working in Wise than to actually write the music. But that's just because I'm not used to it. The same as everything, you just practice more and you get it. Any other question? Yep, go.
What kind of games do you have you noticed like has like now very complex in terms of like events like musically?
In terms of events, the one I called Wander Song.
Oh yeah.
Wander Song. It's all based around music.
Yeah.
In terms of events,
I think Hi-Fi Rush does that.
probably that kind of thing. Yeah,
So yeah.
probably those games. I'm not really sure, but that could be one. Yeah, I don't know what else. It really depends on the complexity of the gameplay.
Yeah.
More than anything else. Because sometimes, as you can see, sometimes it might be heard as something really complex, but it's actually not that complex. It's just like 2 things at the same time, and that's it. Yep. Anything else? Okay, cool.
Actually, quick question.
Yep.
If the music is like 2 very different beats per minute, how do you like transition between them well?
On which ones?
Like, say if you had like a 160 BPM.
Okay, that's a good one. That's important because if you want to actually synchronize other audio events to the music, you need to know the speed of the music. So that's really important. Here, when you go to, let's say, oh no, it's not here in the audio. If I go to the audio of the bass, here, I also have contents. No, where's this? Ah, yeah, general settings. Here I can actually set the tempo somewhere. It's probably here in background music. Yeah. Here you can see the tempo and the time signature and other musical elements. In this case, it's set for background music because it's the same for all 3. For the solos, for the bass of the chameleon, and for the monster theme. But you can actually just do a different one for each of them.
Okay. What happens if this tempo like changes inside like a single song? How do you transition that?
That's up to the composer. I mean, you have to write a transition that actually makes that speed change from one song to the next one, but that's up to the composer. Yeah, to the software, you just tell it, hey, we are going from this fast music to this slow music, use this as a transition, that's it. So it is the musician's job to actually write that transition and make it smooth.
Okay. What happens if like you're just picking up free assets online? They just happen to be highly dynamic music, and you want to think about how to transition out of that.
In that case, you can either write your own transition or just use noise.
Okay.
Yeah, the one I'm using in the Layer of Levante, just use noise as a transition. Actually, Doom does that. Doom does not use music as a transition. They use noise, something like that. and that actually works really well because it cuts the music and after noise you can actually have whatever and it will sound fine. So that could be a good one.
I know some games just kind of fade the music out and then fade another track in to kind of just do it.
Yeah, but that sounds kind of lazy.
Especially if you're getting
I mean, it
feedback.
works, but it's kind of lazy. I mean, you notice that as a player, but sometimes you don't actually notice these transitions.
Well, at least in from my experience for using the DAWs, you can manipulate like time signatures and like a tempo like with like certain tools.
Exactly, but again, it's in the DAW, so it's the job of the musician, not of the programmer.
Yeah.
Unless you're a solo developer.
Pay a musician.
$600 for the dinner on a Saturday as well.
Anything else?
You earn money, not spend money.
Take a loan.
What the hell?
Games require investment or something.
Yep.
Oh no, time is my health and sanity.